What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very brand new podcast here at the JT Sports Network. This is Rams Faithful. It is Jordan and JT coming to you, giving you the best Rams content you can possibly find. I'm JT. That's Jordan. Jordan, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Still, maybe licking my wounds a little bit after Thursday night, but looking forward to the, mini bye week and hoping we can get back at Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a very very rough loss on Thursday night, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But how about we give a little bit of a background of ourselves first? Would you like to go
Okay.
first?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Like
go
to go first?
first.
Yeah.
My name's Jordan, a longtime Rams fan. I live in DFW, so I was always a St. Louis Rams fan. But being out here in Dallas when they moved out to LA, it never really shook me all that much. I was kind of optimistic, I guess, because there were some rough years there in St. Louis. I was looking forward to the future out in LA, and it's been everything that I hoped it would be and more. I remember the 6 wins in 3 years. So for what we have nowadays, I try not to take it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did you become a Rams fan in Dallas?
Well, I just kind of, when I was young, the Rams were a great team, greatest show on turf. So, Kurt Warner, Marshall Falk, Isaac Bruce, future Hall of Famer Torrey Holt, Orlando Pace, those were my guys. Always looked up to that group growing up. And, Steven Jackson just stuck with the team, through the hard years, the Sam Bradford years, the Jeff Fisher years, and I just never gave up. And we just have become everything I hoped we could be out in LA. But I still look back fondly on those St. Louis years. Like I said, I have gotten a chance to see us a couple times here in Dallas, but still want to get to LA someday whenever I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't been out to LA either. For those that don't know, I'm JT. I run the JT Sports Network. This is the channel that our podcast is on. I'm a Rams fan, Dodgers fan. I root for all LA teams except the hockey on the Flyers, which you can find on Flyer Faithful. That's also posted on Thursdays on our channel. But more importantly, about the Rams, I've been a Rams fan my whole life. I've been a Rams fan since 2009. I was born in 2005. I rooted for the St. Louis Rams to start. Obviously, I followed the team out to LA because I root for the Dodgers and Lakers too. So why would I drop them when they move out to LA? But yeah, they moved even further away from me, but that didn't stop me from rooting for the team. I was very happy when they moved to Los Angeles. My favorite Ram of all time is this guy right here, Cooper Kupp. He is the main reason that we won that Super Bowl after so many bad years in my childhood. I finally got to see them win a Super Bowl because of him. So he's my favorite player. And yeah, that's pretty
100%.
much it. That's pretty much it. That's why we're Rams fans. And we're going to give you guys the best content we possibly can. And I stream every Rams game every Sunday or Thursday in this case. But speaking of Thursday, we got to talk about it. After that Eagles loss, man, I didn't think a loss could get worse. It might have. It really might have. I had a weird feeling going into that game, but if we're going to lose to any team, why does it have to be the 49ers, man? I don't get it.
Uh,
What are your thoughts on that, Jordan?
Yeah, it was. I felt, everyone. I hated it when everyone was like, "This is a gimme game." They're all hurt. Oh, these starters out. Mac Jones is in. I kind of felt like it was sort of a trap game right away. I never overlook an opponent, especially San Francisco, and I think they kind of hit you in the mouth right away. Sadly, I think Kyle Shanahan outcoached McVay in this one, and I think McVay would admit that himself. Chris Shula's group did a good job in the second half, but Robert Saleh, I think they did a really, really good job of, slowing down a very dynamic Rams offense and then ultimately at the end getting the stop when they needed to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's extremely frustrating. You go down 7-0, you're like, all right, that was kind of a punch right to the mouth really quick. They ran the ball down our throats. They were going short passes. That's the thing about San Francisco that drives me crazy. It's the same thing every time we play them. They have the same strategy every time. They don't throw. I don't think I remember a throw from that game that was over 15 yards. They do these check down passes. They did it with Purdy. Now they're doing it with Mac Jones. They did it with
Yeah.
Garoppolo all those years that we couldn't beat them for some reason. Even when they're not good, when we're better than them, when they're better than us, they have had our number the last few times. The last few times we've actually beaten them, but before there was like 8 times in a row they beat us.
Yep.
And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, but if there's any team that we're gonna lose to, that's the last team I'd want it to be. Can't stand the 49ers, but it just puts us in a weird spot because now we're 3-2 when we really should be 5-0. And I was talking to my friends about this, and I said, I know this makes me sound ridiculous, and people are gonna think I'm ridiculous for saying this, but I live on the East Coast, so I'm surrounded by Eagles fans. I hate the Eagles, and obviously I hate the 49ers because they're our biggest rival. Those are my two least favorite teams, and those are both of our losses so far are to those two teams.
I'm right there with you for sure.
I would rather be 2-3 with our only wins against the Eagles and Niners than be 3-2 with our only losses against the Eagles and Niners because beating the Niners and beating the Eagles is like it feels like more than just one win for me just because I hate those teams so much, which I know sounds so ridiculous, but I really can't stand those teams. I can't stand losing to them. The thing we have to address, man, I love the Rams fan base, I really do, but it is a shame that every time we have a home game against the 49ers, it's mostly 49ers fans. I want to hear your thoughts on that before I share mine.
Sadly, being a Rams fan my whole life, as you I'm sure can experience yourself, there aren't that many Rams fans out there, truly. Like, we're not the most popular team, so when a huge team like San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Dallas comes in, it's gonna be packed for the other team, unfortunately, and I'm glad mostly McVay and the team has found a way to overcome that most of the time, I feel like. But it does always stink when you're hosting a home game on prime time, nation watching, and you see that sea of red, and it's just salt in the wound, especially after a big time loss. And I'm right there with you. I hate the 49ers, can't stand them or their fans. So definitely discouraging to see all their fans, but hopefully we can get them back in San Francisco here in a few weeks.
Yeah, the goal is to get them back in San Francisco and then win the Super Bowl on their field in February. But the Rams are going to
Yes,
have to do
definitely.
a lot of work if we want to accomplish that because right now this team shouldn't be 3-2. They shouldn't be. They should be 5-0. They were 2 blocked field goals away from beating the Eagles. They were a fumble at the one and a few sloppy plays against the 49ers from winning that game too. We should be 5-0, simple and plain. But if I can share my thoughts on the 49er fans trying to take over the stands and in what they call Levi's South. That's their little cute nickname they've given our stadium. But I've always gone by this. They can take over the stands, we'll take over the scoreboard. Unfortunately, that didn't work Thursday night, but it has been like that the last few times we played them. We've beaten them 3 times in a row in the regular season, and then the last time we played them in the playoffs, we beat them. So I hate that they have bragging rights over us, but we do play them November 9th, I want to say. So just a little over a month. Hopefully we can get them back. But the thing is with Rams fans, I don't think the Rams don't have a lot of fans. Do we have the most fans in the league? Probably not because we've moved so many times. But that's the thing. Like, I think we have a pretty large fan base. They're just not all in the same spot. Like, look at you and me. Like, you're
Right.
from Dallas, I'm from Jersey and the Rams never played in Dallas or Jersey. Like they start out the franchise in 1937, way back when, almost 100 years ago in Cleveland. They start to build a fan base there, and then they move out to LA. So then they built a good fan. They built a very good fan base in Los Angeles for 50 years. But then they moved away to St. Louis, and I think moving to St. Louis. Sorry if there's any St. Louis Rams fans out there. I loved the St. Louis Rams, but I think that hurt the fan base because we lost 2 whole generations of Rams fans that ended up being Raiders or 49ers fans because those were the only teams in California and the Rams weren't. So if you grew up in LA, 20, 30 years ago, you became a Niners or Raiders fan, which is why there's so many of those fans in Los Angeles rather than Rams fans. Then the Rams moved back and, in a decade or two, the Rams will have mostly there's going to be more Rams fans in LA in a decade or two than 49ers and Raiders fans. But right now, it's not like that because they moved away and they weren't in LA. But The longer we stay in
Yeah,
LA, and
that's a
I
really good point for sure.
yeah, I think the longer we stay in LA, the more fans will build up in Los Angeles. I think Super Bowl 56 helped. I think the more successful we are, it'll help. Like you became a fan because of the greatest show on turf. So that's a prime example right there. We can get good teams like that again, which I think we're capable of doing, then we'll be fine. So yeah,
Yep,
I
yep,
think
definitely.
I think it was a really tough loss on Thursday night, but you did mention that Shanahan outcoached Sean McVay. I couldn't agree more. I don't like to point fingers at anybody and say, "Oh, we lost the game because of this guy or that guy," but even Sean McVay himself did state that the 4th and 1 call at the end was not the right call. What are your thoughts on that call? Do you think they should have kicked the field goal? Do you think they should have gone for it and not ran the ball? What are your thoughts?
I have no problem going for it on 4th down right there at the end of the game. I actually preferred that they did. I'm glad they did. There's an old Vince Lombardi quote, I believe. If you can't get a yard, you don't deserve to be champions. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, where I don't agree with on that last play, your starting tight end, Tyler Higbee, your franchise leading tight end, great blocker, historically great blocker. He's out. Not only that, your longtime right tackle starter, Rob Havenstein, is out. And no excuses, but strategically speaking, on that 4th and 1, you're pushing it to the right side, and that right side is exactly where the line collapsed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point, Jordan. I 100% agree with you there. And you really couldn't have said it any better. I 100% agree that they should have gone for it because if you kick the field goal there, let's say Cardi makes it, best case scenario, he makes it tie game. The 49ers only need to go down the field and kick a field goal and win the game, and there's only 3 minutes left. So even if we stop them, we might not have enough time to have another drive and go down and try to win the game. So if you kick the field goal there, you're playing for the tie. So I back up Sean McVay when I say I think he made the right call to go for it. I do not back up Sean McVay when I say we should have ran the ball. My dad and I were watching the game together, and it was so weird. We both said at the same time, like, jet sweep here to Puka. Jet sweep to the left side, first down. He's going to get it. Put the ball in Puka Nakua's hands. He's the best receiver in football so far this season. Put the ball in his hands or go play action and give the ball to Matthew Stafford, who is one of the most clutch quarterbacks of all time. And honestly, besides Tom Brady, I don't think I'd want any other quarterback on a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or overtime than Matthew Stafford. I really don't. And the fact that you're not putting the ball in Stafford's hands, you're not putting the ball in Puka's hands, but you're putting the ball in the hands of Kyron Williams, who essentially fumbled the game away. I don't get that call. And I mean, I've expressed my thoughts about Kyron Williams on social media. I may or may not have compared him to a trash can in the heat of the moment the other night, but I don't like to hate on any players on my teams. It takes a lot for me to really say like, oh, like I want this guy to be gone. But I'm getting sick and tired of Kyron Williams not being able to hold on to the football. I I'll share my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first. How do you feel about Kyron Williams in a Rams jersey?
Man, it's a love-hate relationship. I do have Kyron Williams on my fantasy team, so in that aspect, that was great Thursday night. But I definitely share the frustration Rams fans have had with the fumbling, not only last night, but all the way back to January against Philly. That was killer. His 2 fumbles. We're probably Super Bowl champs if not for those fumbles. And I hate to knock Kyron Williams, but part of me does question, is he that number 1 bell cow running back that, they paid him to be, because now he's locked up for the next couple of years. I think they tried to do the whole Blake Corum thing to ease Kyron Williams' load, but unfortunately, Blake Corum's just not ready. He's got bad hands. I don't trust him in the pass blocking game. And just going back to Kyron Williams a little bit more, I do really like him as a player, and I like that he cares. But I just think he's got to step it up if he wants to maintain that number 1 running back status on the team. And I'm curious what you think about the whole Blake Corum aspect as well.
So yeah, that's actually a great question to ask me because I'm a Michigan fan. I'm actually watching the Michigan game right now. We're beating Wisconsin, but Blake Corum is one of my favorite Michigan Wolverines of all time. I love Blake Corum. I literally, when we drafted him, I bought a Rams Blake Corum jersey. I have it in my closet. I'm I'm probably Blake Corum's number one fan because I'm a Michigan fan and a Rams fan, and I'm sure there's not too many of those out there. So I'm very high on Blake Corum. I loved him at Michigan. He is a great player. I was surprised he fell to the third round a few years ago when we were able to snag him in the third round, but I would love to see him get more reps. I've been saying that since the beginning of last year. We barely used him last year, and Kyron Williams was overworked, which is probably why he fumbled so much. And now this year, we're finally starting to mix Blake Corum in. Kyron Williams has been better at holding on to the ball so far this season. But then on Thursday night, Blake Corum fumbles the ball once. He just dropped the pitch right back to him, which I thought it was weird. I'm not trying to make excuses. He should have caught the ball. But Matthew Stafford, instead of just like tossing it, like flicked it like this, and then it just like hit off his hands and bounced off, and the Niners got it, which he still should have caught the ball. No excuses there. But it was weird after that. Blake Corum was benched pretty much the rest of the game. But then Kyron Williams fumbles on the 1 yard line and fumbles the game away, and he's right back in there the next drive in overtime and gets the ball with the game on the line again. So I don't understand why Blake Corum fumbles once and he doesn't see the field the rest of the game, but Kyron Williams fumbles in the biggest moment of the game and he's back out there and they give him the rock with the game on the line. I don't get it. I'm a huge Blake Corum guy. I like him more than Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams to me, like you mentioned after that game against Philly in the playoffs last year when he fumbled twice, I said during the game right after he fumbled, I said I love Kyron. I do. Guy grew up a Rams fan. He's a Ram. I'm going to support him, but I hope he finds a new team next year because I'm sick and tired of it. So that's how I feel. I'm not saying they need to trade him immediately, but after that fumble on the goal line, I do think he should be benched this week, and I think Blake Corum should be the number one running back for LA. I do.
If I could say one thing really quick on the fumble, I saw a couple replays online where some tape showed he got punched right in the helmet. I don't know if you saw that. A 49ers player punched him kind of in the helmet when the ball popped out. So technically, I know he still shouldn't have fumbled, but I want to try to give him somewhat of a break because
Yeah,
that is illegal. You can't punch someone.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I actually did notice that when they were slowing it down. But if you watch that slow down replay, he had the ball with two hands, and then once he got by the guy that punched it out, he let go with his one hand, and he only had one hand on the ball, and that's why it was so easy to punch the ball. And if he kept two hands on, he had a half a yard more to go. Put your head down, hold the ball with two hands, and get into that end zone. And he picked his head up. He got ahead of himself. He thought he was in. He took one arm off. I don't know if it was he was about to celebrate or what, but the ball got knocked out, and that's on him. I can't make any excuses for that. I know he got punched in the helmet as well, but the follow through on that punch punched the ball out, and he's got to hold on to the ball. He's got to be more secure with the football. I would bench him. I would bench him next week in Baltimore, and I would let Blake Corum start. I really would. I would
Wow.
if you have to go out and sign somebody to be your backup running back for the week behind Blake Corum, go ahead. I don't know if they're going to rock with Ronnie Rivers or whoever behind Blake Corum, but we've really only seen the two of them. So I mean, and I'm not saying you have to bench Kyron and he doesn't have to like even suit up for the game. I would just give Blake Corum more carries, and I would have Kyron Williams be the running back too for the week. And hey, if Blake Corum goes off and he has a great game, keep it that way because I'm high on Blake Corum. I really am, and I think they need more of a mix. And Blake Corum's got to get more reps for sure.
Curious, in Michigan, was Blake Corum a good pass catcher? Because I think he's had like 3 or 4 drops over the past couple of games.
He was actually a great receiving back. He really was, which is surprising to me why he hasn't been like that so far with us. He did have a few drop. I think he had 2 drop passes the other end as well, along with the fumble. So I get why some people that are just seeing Blake Corum now that didn't watch him like his whole career in Michigan, like I did, are not that high on him. But I know the talent is there. I really do think that he can be like a really solid RB1 in this league. I really do think so. And I'm waiting for him to get the chance to break out because when he's behind Kyron Williams is fumbling the ball, but Kyron Williams doesn't get any discipline for it. That's not fair to Blake. So Blake was a very good receiving back at Michigan. I do like them drawing up some plays for him as well, but we'll see. I think there's a lot they have to clean up as well. Unfortunately, if we go to the injury report real quick, like you mentioned, Havenstein and Higbee were both out. That was huge, but there's no excuses when the 49ers had even more guys out, you know? So, what are your thoughts on the Rams' offensive line right now? Are you satisfied with how they're playing with or without Havenstein? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the offensive line has been a little bit inconsistent. I know some of that is due to injury. We've had a lot of in and out with, Avila going out. Havenstein missed last game. We had a lot of that last year. I know Dotson was hurt at one point, but he's been fighting through it. Jackson to start the year, he had the blood clots going on. So another year of Rams O-line health problems, just like every other year. But I think just like last year, once this group gets healthy and locked in, I know we got the bye week coming up here in a few weeks. I think that'll really help. I do like Coleman Shelton being back. I don't hate Bo Limmer, but Bo Limmer was a big part in losing last year against the Eagles as well. So I think Coleman Shelton is a big upgrade. And in the playoffs, I really, really like that we have him. Hopefully, Avila can come back and be his rookie year. But I don't hate the O line. I just think we got to be better as a whole group offensively. I think play calling can help that as well as the running backs. Maybe putting Blake Corum in there, maybe mixing Jarquez Hunter in there a little bit could rejuice the O line as opposed to just smashing Kyron Williams on zone and gaps and counters play after play every week.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I would agree with that. It also applies to the special teams because what on earth is with all the blocked kicks? That I think it's four block kicks now. One an extra point that if we don't have those kicks blocked, which doesn't happen a lot in the NFL anymore. You don't see that a lot. If we don't have those blocked, we'd literally be 5-0. We'd be 5-0. We would
Yeah,
have beaten the Eagles. We would have beaten the 49ers. Part of it, I think, is honestly I do think part of it's on Josh Carty because some of those kicks look very low. It's not all on him because sometimes, like, if you look at the last extra point against the 49ers and you look at the last field goal attempt against the Eagles, the defensive line got through the offensive line with ease. So that's not on Carty, but some of the kicks do look a little low and they're hitting like one of them against the Eagles, the first blocked field goal in the fourth quarter against the Eagles. The guy didn't even get through. He was like this, and it hit his bicep. It didn't even like graze his finger. It hit his bicep. That's how you know the kick was low. You know what I mean? So I don't
yeah.
I don't understand. They gotta clean it up on special teams. I think they gotta wake up somehow because it's little things like this
Alex
where
Wood is having a really tough start of the year, so I don't know if that's a position you maybe look to replace here over this mini bye week, but yeah, Alex Wood, he's either got to step it up or get out.
yeah. No, I agree. I It's driving me crazy because if you look at any Super Bowl contender in the league, are they going to have problems on special teams? No, because a Super Bowl contender, a good team, doesn't mess up this sloppy kind of stuff like special teams, blocked kicks, blocked extra points. That doesn't happen to Super Bowl contenders. So if we want to be like that, we have to clean it up immediately.
I did see on the special teams note, I don't know if we'd be willing to go this route, but Justin Tucker's been cleared to come back. So the old GOAT, I know he's had some trouble off the field,
Mm.
but maybe we give Justin Tucker a shot.
I don't think we can do it, man. That actually crossed my mind while we were playing the 49ers. I was like, is there a kicker out there that we could get like instead of Cardi? But I I don't think it would be morally correct if we did that. I don't. Clearly, he's guilty of doing some very weird stuff off the field that's not okay. So, if you want to keep your reputation clean and be a classy organization, I'd say no, Justin Tucker is not welcome in Los Angeles now.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. So, another position that I want to talk about for the Rams is the cornerback situation because Forbes has not been great, the former commander. I don't I didn't mind signing him late last season. I was actually a little worried why we didn't play him that much in the playoffs after we signed him. But apparently, I've looked into it a little bit. Commanders fans are kind of like, yeah, Ram fans, we told you so when you signed this guy. This guy's kind of burnt toast. You know what I mean? But I don't get it. He was a first round pick. He has not been good. Akello Witherspoon being out is really hurting this team. And I think if there's any move this team needs to make before the deadline in 3 or 4 weeks from now, go out and get yourself a corner. I don't care who it doesn't need to be like, a reunion with Jalen Ramsey, which I'd love, but it doesn't need to be that. Find a solid corner that you can use while Akello Witherspoon is out until towards the end of the regular season. And when Akello comes back, if the guy you get to replace him is also doing well, there you go. You got your two starting corners. Because Darius Williams, he hasn't been that noticeable, which is probably better if you're a corner because if you're noticeable, that means you're getting burnt. But I've been fine with Darius Williams. Akello Witherspoon, I think, is a true CB1. I really do think he is. I'm very high on him. I love how he fits on our defense. But how do you feel about the cornerback situation with the Rams?
Well, starting off with Akello Witherspoon, I'm a huge fan. I think he's one of the best corners in the league, extremely underrated, undervalued. When he got hurt, that was a huge blow. And going back to the Eagles game, in the second half, AJ Brown gets cooking, and I don't think he gets cooking like that if Akello Witherspoon's playing, just
Not at
personally.
all.
So that injury has been critical, definitely. Funny you mentioned the Commanders. I have a cousin who is a huge Commanders fan, and he had mentioned to me about Emmanuel Forbes. I asked him about it a little bit. So I will just say about Emmanuel Forbes, he's young, and I think the talent is there. Obviously, on the field, he has been awful and really cost us, especially against Kendrick Bourne, just getting killed out there. But I think what he's having trouble with is adjusting to not being the most athletic player on the field now that he's in the NFL as opposed to college. But I don't solely blame him either. I think there's a lot of blame to go around in the secondary. I don't think Cameron Kinchins is making as many plays as last year. Lake has started off the year great, but I thought he got exposed a little bit last game. And Darius Williams and Kobe Durant had a great interception week 1, but since then, I think they've both been not great, which I think is just because everyone's being asked to do a little more than what they're capable of with Akello out. And until then, I agree. Corner is definitely the position we need to target. Like you said, maybe get another running back we trust in year 2. See if CJ Anderson's still kicking around all these years later. But we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe call up Daryl Henderson too. Maybe call
Oh
Daryl
man.
Henderson. Call up Todd Gurley real quick. Hey, we need a running back. but but yeah, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up from our LA Rams for sure. How do you feel going into Baltimore next week with Lamar probably not playing?
Right. So I will say once again, you never overlook an opponent. Baltimore is a really good team. I know they've struggled this year, but when you look at the talent, clearly it's there. Everyone had them as one of the Super Bowl favorites. You always want to beat a team on their best footing. So we'll see if Lamar plays or not. Being here from Dallas, I am extremely familiar with Cooper Rush. I watch almost every Dallas Cowboys game, and he's a very good backup quarterback. So don't overlook him if you're a Rams fan. He can beat you. And I think it was 2, maybe 3 years ago, we played the Cowboys, and Cooper Rush was putting a pretty good number on us. So we'll
Yeah,
see. They
we
still got
lost to
Derrick
them.
Henry.
Yeah. That's a very complete team. And although, their quarterback situation right now is a little rough with Lamar being out, that's not a team we can overlook, like you said. It's not you can't look over anybody in the NFL. I think we've learned that by now. Uh, Losing to the 49ers hospital team, I think we can say it's not safe to overlook anybody. So next week, Baltimore, we will have another episode before then, going over that game more and really giving our thoughts on this past week in the NFL. But until then, that's all for now. Jordan, any last thoughts?
Well, I'm just thankful for the first episode and excited for the rest of the season. Horns up as always, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.